Hello, Jian Yang.
So you're following me?
Yes, we've been trying to talk to you for 3 days.
Sorry, I have no comment.
We've been trying to talk to you for 3 days. We need to talk to you about your links with Chinese military intelligence.
Joining me in the studio now is Dr. Jian Yang.
Is Dr. Jian Yang
Dr. Jian Yang.
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 Kia ora, Mr. Speaker.
This is Dr. Jian Yang, the National Party's only Chinese Member of Parliament. Jian Yang's high profile in Auckland's Chinese community means he's an important part of National's campaign team. He brings in votes and money.
我是1999年2月
But in this story we ask, who is the real Jian Yang? Why has our SIS taken an interest in him? And why does his military intelligence background in China not seem to appear on any of his official CVs?
The Chinese community in New Zealand.
Security questions around Jian Yang first arose when he was studying at Australian National University in Canberra in the mid to late 90s, before he moved to New Zealand. Young became a National Party MP in 2011 after being personally shoulder-tapped by National Party President Peter Goodfellow, and was wooed directly by former Prime Minister John Key.
I thank the board directors of the National Party for their trust. In particular, I thank our President Peter Goodfellow. I cannot overstate Peter's help in the past few months. I also thank my party colleagues for their warm welcome and support. And I thank the Prime Minister for his trust and guidance.
In 2012, Newsroom understands Young's connection with Chinese military intelligence first drew him to the attention of the SIS. It's highly likely that PM at the time, John Key, would have been notified at this point. Jian Yang grew up in communist China, and in 1978 it's likely that he joined the People's Liberation Army. The PLA is the world's largest standing army. Young went to the PLA's Air Force Engineering College, an elite military training institution. He taught at the same college for 5 years after graduating. Peter Mattis worked for American Security Services and is an expert in Chinese intelligence.
His time at the Air Force Engineering College means that he was a PLA officer or one of the civilian employees of the PLA, but most likely an officer and almost certainly a Chinese Communist Party member.
But what Yang did next is perhaps even more significant. He attended the PLA University of Foreign Languages, based in Luoyang in China's Henan province. This institution is dedicated to foreign language skills and is part of what's called the Third Department of the People's Liberation Army, one of China's 2 military intelligence agencies. It teaches 29 languages, and its graduates include more than 100 PLA generals.
The focus was on learning the language to a sort of a functional proficiency where you could speak, listen, transcribe, translate.
And what does the Third Department do? What's its job?
Well, the Third Department was responsible for all forms of signals intelligence. So that could be direction finding for signals, it could be encryption on the security side, it could be trying to break the codes and communications of other countries and other militaries. And in the modern world, that has meant computer network exploitation, breaking into computer networks abroad and stealing secrets that way.
So this is essentially spying?
Yes.
Young moved to Australia in 1994. Before he left, he went to Johns Hopkins University in Nanjing, a place where many military intelligence experts studied at that time. What do you think was the most likely situation with Young when he went to Australia?
I think there are 2 sort of equally plausible alternatives. One is that he was someone looking to get out of China and pursue educational opportunities elsewhere. The other alternative, which is that he was working for military intelligence, most likely the Second Department, for human intelligence. because he also received training at the Johns Hopkins Nanjing Center for American and Chinese Studies. The bio that he gave in a Chinese language interview suggests that he was there during a year when military intelligence provided many of the Chinese students to get their education. If that's the case, then he was sent abroad with the explicit aim of acting as an intelligence officer overseas.
In 1978, I passed the newly restored higher education examination and became part of a small group of high school graduates who went on to university.
When Yang made his maiden speech in Parliament, he skipped over his background in the Chinese military in the period between 1978 and 1994.
In 1994, I started my postgrad study in Australia, and in 1999, I completed my PhD and began my work at the University of Auckland.
Yang's military intelligence background does not appear on any of his official CVs. In his National Party bio, Yang says only that he was educated in China. Sources have told Newsroom that it was also left off his University of Auckland CV. Why do you think he would leave his training in Chinese military intelligence off his CVs when he came to Australia and New Zealand?
Well, again, I think this is one of those places where you've got two equally plausible alternatives. One is that he's choosing to hide it and not talk about it because that's what many people who formerly worked in intelligence do. They don't necessarily want to arouse suspicion because no one will believe that they retired or left and have left that part of their life behind. The other alternative is that it was deliberate and that he was trying to hide that part of his past. And when you see something like the Luoyang Foreign Language Institute or the Nanjing International Relations Institute or the University of International Relations in Beijing, it raises the specter of Chinese intelligence.
In both Australia and New Zealand, Yang has played a leading role in promoting relationships with China. Since entering Parliament, he has been National's main fundraiser among the Chinese community. In 2014, he organised a dinner that raised $200,000 from wealthy Chinese voters, and in 2016 raised money for John Key's campaign to change the New Zealand flag. At a lunch organised by Yang, 6 unnamed Chinese donors gave $100,000 because they wanted the Union Jack removed from the New Zealand flag as it reminded them of British imperialism in China. Between 2014 and 2016, Jian Yang was on the Parliamentary Select Committee for Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade. In the public service, someone with Yang's background in the Chinese military would have been vetted and not given security clearance to work on foreign affairs.
I wouldn't call that part usual. And it's one of those things that I would have hoped that his colleagues in his party, I believe it's the National Party, would have put to him when they were vetting him. If NZSIS has spoken with him, I would have hoped that they've asked some of those questions. Because certainly on its face, it would be quite disconcerting.
However, elected MPs are not vetted for security clearance. Sources who knew Yang before he became an MP say they were approached by the SIS in 2016 seeking information on him.
I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask questions in this case, in part because he went to a school that military intelligence officers go to. He was in a cohort at the Hopkins Nanjing Center that was made up of other military intelligence officers, at least as far as I can see on the timeline. So there's enough to say that he probably worked in military intelligence at one time. And that, I think, is a reasonable question to ask of someone who has gained your citizenship and is serving in political office, of what did they do in the intelligence service of a foreign country? As old intelligence hands say, there are countries with whom we are friendly, but there are no friendly intelligence services.
Hello, Jian Yang.
So you're following me.
Yes, we've been trying to talk to you for 3 days.
Sorry, I have no comment.
We've been trying to talk to you for 3 days. We need to talk to you about your links with Chinese military intelligence.
Talk to my boss, okay?
No, we will talk to
Talk to my boss.
We'll talk to him.
Please.
What
talk to
are
my
your
boss.
links with Chinese military intelligence?
I have nothing to hide, okay?
Well, if you have nothing to hide, then you should talk to us.
Talk to my boss.
Why are you trying to avoid us?
Talk to my boss.
I will talk to Mr. English. I
Yes.
plan to talk to him.
Yes, please.
But why won't you talk to us?
Please.
Why have you hidden it on your
No.
CV?
No.
No, what?
I have nothing to hide, I said.
Well, if you have nothing
Talk
to
to
hide,
my boss,
then you
okay?
should talk to us.
Please. Please.
Why won't you talk to us?
Please.
I'm happy to just
Please.
discuss this with you.
Please. Okay?